It was a typical Alaskan evening on May 24th, but for one man, the tranquility of the evening would soon be shattered. He was driving home, thinking about the day's events, unaware of the storm that was about to engulf him. As he drove home, unaware of the impending nightmare, Alaska State Troopers were converging on his location with urgency and determination. They had received a report of a suspect in the area. The information was vague, but the urgency in their voices was clear. A suspect they were determined to apprehend, no matter the cost. The officers were on high alert, their senses sharpened by the adrenaline coursing through their veins. What followed was a scene straight out of a Hollywood action film, except this was all too real. The flashing lights, the screeching tires, the palpable tension in the air. The troopers, armed and adrenaline pumping, surrounded the man's vehicle. Their weapons were drawn, their faces set in grim determination. They acted swiftly, smashing the car window without warning. The sound of shattering glass pierced the evening air. The man inside, confused and terrified, had no time to react. His mind raced, trying to make sense of the chaos unfolding around him. Pepper spray filled the confined space, stinging his eyes and making it impossible to breathe. The burning sensation was overwhelming, and he gasped for air. He was dragged from his car, the victim of a terrible misunderstanding. His pleas for an explanation were drowned out by the shouts of the officers. As he lay on the ground, blinded by the pepper spray and struggling to comprehend what was happening, the troopers unleashed their taser on him. The electric shock was sudden and excruciating. This was not standard police procedure. The actions of the officers were far beyond what was necessary or justified. This was a scene of utter chaos and excessive force. The evening that began with such peace had descended into a nightmare, leaving a man broken and bewildered. The investigation into the incident was thorough and swift. The evidence, including the damning body camera footage, was overwhelming. It was clear that the troopers involved had acted with excessive force and had violated the victim's civil rights. The case sparked outrage and calls for accountability. Protests erupted, demanding justice for the victim and systemic change within the police department.
In a landmark decision, the Alaska Office of Special Prosecutions announced charges against the troopers involved. The charges included assault, official misconduct, and reckless endangerment.
This marked a significant victory for police accountability, sending a clear message that such egregious behavior would not be tolerated. The troopers were immediately placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of their trial. The decision to charge the officers was a long time coming. It was a recognition of the systemic issues within law enforcement that often shield officers from the consequences of their actions. And it was a step in the right direction, a sign that maybe, just maybe, things were starting to change. In the aftermath of the attack, the victim was taken to the hospital. He received treatment for his injuries, which included lacerations from the dog bite, burns from the taser, and respiratory issues from the pepper spray. His physical wounds eventually healed, but the emotional scars of that night would likely linger for years to come. The incident has had a profound impact on the victim's life. He suffers from nightmares, flashbacks, and a crippling fear of law enforcement. He has filed a lawsuit against the Alaska State Troopers, seeking damages for his physical and emotional suffering. The K-9 officer involved in the incident, while simply following its training, also became a subject of scrutiny. Animal rights activists and concerned citizens questioned the dog's future and the circumstances that led to the attack. The incident sparked debate about the use of police dogs, particularly in situations where their actions could result in unintended harm.
After much deliberation and careful consideration for the dog's well-being, authorities made the difficult decision to retire the K-9 officer from active duty. The retired K-9 officer will now live out its days in a loving home, far removed from the pressures and potential dangers of police work. While this outcome doesn't erase the trauma inflicted on the innocent victim, it does demonstrate a level of accountability and a commitment to learning from past mistakes.